All right, Denisha, I'm going to send you something on your phone.
Oh
Okay.
boy, you're about to send me something from a million years ago, aren't you?
Uh,
I can't wait. What?
Who's that?
Myra Flynn, Deswa, which was an alias project I was doing at the time,
Yep.
and our
Yep.
girl Janelle Kroll at Rockwood Music Hall in New
Yes.
York City, 2016. Wow.
But then we were on a real roll because look at this.
Wait, what? Ah!
This is all the way across the country in
Oh my
LA.
God. Did we play together at in LA
Yeah.
at the
We played
Hotel
together.
Cafe the same summer?
Denitia Odigie, aka Adesawa, aka Denisha and Scene, aka these days just Denisha, is one of those folks I've literally run into on stages. As mentioned here, in big cities like LA and New York, but also in the corners of smaller spaces like my home state, Vermont. We've been paired with each other at open mic nights, songwriter circles, artist showcases, and the like, all in venues that are typically dubbed listening rooms, meant for lyric heads who want to hear folks in our genre, which is to say, genreless, is kind of our genre. We've been dubbed everything from neo soul to indie rock to indie folk soul. In general, people have not always known what to do with these two black girls who sang shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of white dudes who'd played guitar and waxed Elliott Smith and Ryan Adams in flannel shirts. But they knew they liked us because Denisha and I always had a good story to tell. Music was just the vehicle.
But I don't get high on you anymore. It should be a crime.
So, to me, Denisha isn't as much a homie, though she is lovely, as she is a colleague. We're part of this small circle of artists in the US who dare to tour for 300 days out of the year with our instruments on our backs or in our beat-up cars to play to a small room in rural wherever and sling our stories.
Some of the threads that you and I have is that we are like being ourselves, and people
Yeah.
are like, wow, like it's so different. And it's like, oh, like I was just like doing what I do. I was just being me, you know?
Right, right.
But to certain listeners, it felt like, wow, like you're really like busting all of
Radical.
our expectations. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I can count on two hands how many times I've been asked, what kind of R&B do you sing? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, to mess with folks, I would answer with something like, I'm actually a country singer, and then watch their faces kind of crumple with confusion. A black country singer, when I was coming up, besides, I don't know, Hootie and the Blowfish, maybe, wasn't really a thing. But man, oh man, has that changed. Now we have
Two-stepping on the table, she don't need a dance floor. Oh my,
Shabuzi,
good Lord. It's my day, put me in that clay and remember what I told you.
Kane Brown,
Throw your keys up, stick around, round, 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 round.
Beyonce, and Denisha.
Everything is beautiful, even when it falls apart. Can't you see the colors in our sky? I almost see the stars light up your eyes. I don't wanna stay to say goodbye.
These days, Denisha has chosen a genre, and she's hitting the country music scene full force, which I thought might just be another experiment for her or a project, but little did I know, in all our days of city hopping, this isn't that much of a switch for Denisha at all. She's originally from Texas.
Baytown, Texas, which is a very specific working class place off of I-10 right outside of Houston. Growing up listening to 80s and 90s country, there was something about the way these songs and stories were delivered to me. It cut through to me and it really stuck with me. My dream is to
Mm.
be a part of the fabric of the country music canon at large. Like, what's it look like for me to write and sing country music from my lens? Because I have such an appreciation for the country music tradition and its history and the people that it comes from. and how it is representative of America in a way that reminds me how beautiful it is to be Black American.
Black music is American music, right?
And
So
and that's what it is.
from Vermont Public, this is Homegoings, a show that invites you to eavesdrop on candid conversations with people who will challenge what you think you know. I'm Myra Flynn. Today on the show, a conversation with Denitia Odigie about what it takes to remain authentically herself in a genre of music that is just beginning to more visibly embrace a wide array of identities, marking a notable shift in the genre's cultural landscape. This is Homegoings. We're a proud member of the NPR network. Welcome home. Yeah, so Black folks in country music have really been popping off right now, right? And I'm thinking about Beyonce in particular. And when she did Cowboy Carter, she received quite a bit of backlash for being whitewashed. A lot of people, a lot of folks who look like us were going on the internet and talking about how she was not being herself, how she was, had all of a sudden slipped into this white genre. And then she was like, hello, I'm from Houston, Texas. Like, did you all forget that
Yeah.
I'm from Houston? Where do you think this came from? The idea that country music only belongs to white people and that it's like somehow very radical that we somehow now have slipped in as Black Americans to the more popular charting, Billboard charting genre of country music.
Well, no, for sure. And I think it has some extremely tangible ties to the history of the music industry. Country music came out of this crossroads of blues music, Appalachian music, and a little taste of the rock and roll that Black folks were crafting at the time as well. Black folks were making this music. It sounded country, what we would consider country at the time. But the people that were in charge of the music industry at the time, who were white and had these record labels,
Mm.
decided that they needed to brand all Black music as race records. So those got put into a different category. It didn't matter what you sounded like. You were Black, and so you were making race records, which later what kind of spawned what is now known as R&B. And then the white folks who were making that exact same sound were called hillbilly music, and that turned into what we consider country music to be today. So I think that historically, it's surprising to people to hear Black artists making country sounds because we were categorized out of it in the industry at the beginnings of country music as a commercial genre.
Wow. So it's all part of the plan. It's all been part of the plan to kind of remove us. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
part of the plan to control who was consuming what kind of music and who could benefit the most from a sound
Mm,
that audiences really resonated with.
right. I mean, in listening to Rihanna Giddens speak about the banjo, she was like saying this was invented in Africa and it's been on front porches in the South forever. And yet somehow it is so radical to begin playing the banjo, for her to be playing the banjo.
Right.
It's just so interesting to learn like what once was ours and what no longer is, and then returning back to that. I wonder what else is in our history that we could all make a grand movement toward returning back to. I'd be super interested in
Mm,
that. It's like, let me find out that we were the first people to start country clubs and golfing, and then all of a
I
sudden,
know.
all of us
Yeah,
begin golfing again. Like, yeah.
right. For sure. And my vibe is like, I really choose energetically not to focus on what could be holding me back. Because if I did that, then I would just have to do something else. I would have to make something else my career. I really focus on how the music is connecting with people. And I'm focused on getting better at what I do and growing and evolving and all of the things that make me continually fall in love with music. And that's the kind of like energy that
Mm.
I'm constantly focused on. While I also know what our history is in this genre, I'm really just interested in connecting with my audience and having people feel seen and heard from stories that are
Mm.
in my songs. And if they have never felt the way that I'm singing about, maybe it creates some empathy. But it's really just about connection to me.
I've wandered off from here to Houston, looking for a place that I can call my own. The city fit right for a while, like a cloud lost in the melted snow.
What is something, Denisha, that people assume about you? Either about you or you and
Right.
your music or you and your music combined.
Something that I always find funny and interesting is that I do speak in a lower register. And so when I start to sing, which is, up in the soprano register, it's all just very light and lilting. That in and of itself takes people aback in a way that I think is representative of a lot of the expectations that might be placed upon me without even hearing me speak.
Right.
Um, I think even just on site, it's really funny to me to hear fans that, people that become fans and listeners that are like, wow, I really thought your voice was going to be like super like low and bassy and I grew up in Texas, which is real flat, but I've been likened to, a mountain voice. Very high, very lilting, very like,
Oh,
taking a little bit from the Appalachian traditions. So I think that's one thing that people are surprised by. And I think that that sort of is metaphorical for a lot of expectations that are heaped upon this book by judging by its cover.
yes. I mean, yes, because you have a low voice when you speak, but also you present kind of like I don't know, whatever the association is with the femme like soprano voice, you don't
Right.
present as that either. So
Right.
yeah, do you think some of it's just like some coded judgment a little
Oh,
bit?
well,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I think especially for folks who haven't been exposed to a lot of people that express their gender in different ways, it's they don't know what to do with me, like how to categorize me in their brain before they hear what I have to offer, which I
Mm,
kind of take pride in being someone who shows up in these different towns and these different communities that I tour in and like can be an example of like, hey, this is what it looks like for me to be authentic to myself. What does it look like for you? And that
right.
might be just coloring outside of the lines.
Was signed to my first record label when I was 16, and they just automatically put me in the R&B category. They were like, "You're going to be" it was like Ashanti at the time. Beyoncé was just on the scene. They were like, "Light-skinned Black woman, you go over here. This is what you will be." And I remember them being really disappointed in my voice because, my father is Irish, my mother is Black. I had like this kind of unique sound that didn't sound like the R&B they wanted. But then I
Mm.
remember people like Adele coming out and Alicia Keys coming out and some people with some really radical voices. And so just like then, so it is now with Black folks in
Mm.
country music, where I wonder, like, do you think that the industry is getting more accepting of people's unique identities and how that shows up in our art? Or do you think that there's still a lot of work to do there? Are they still trying to stuff us into some of those same old boxes?
I think the industry looks different depending on what region you're in of literally the world. But I think compared to 20 years ago, the sort of relationships that I was trying to foster in the industry seemed far more close-minded than they do now. I feel like I've been fortunate enough to experience firsthand much more support from the industry, which I think coincides with me just having a clearer mission as an artist and like clearer songs and getting better at my craft. But I do think that a lot of folks in the industry at large, right? Major
Hmm.
indie, management, label, publicist, I think definitely people are seeing the fans hungry for things that aren't just the status quo, and they're
Yeah.
seeing the value of giving opportunities and getting into business with. It's really not about giving opportunities, but it's like getting into business with artists who make distinct music and have distinct identities from what we would consider the status quo.
Yeah. Have a point of view. Artists who have a point of view. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And I love that you're getting clear on your mission. I feel like that's lifelong work as well. You got to write a
Hmm.
book.
Have you written a book yet, Myra? Am
Oh,
I sleeping?
this is my book,
This is
Denitia.
my book, baby. Yeah.
Right here.
Because I feel the
Welcome
same
to it.
way. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I do feel like just because the industry has changed so much in the last 20 years that I've been kind of kicking around, and also my perspective has really shifted. It's really just been
Mm,
when I started to focus on, okay, well, what do I want to say? Let's not think
mm.
about who's out there. Okay. I love music. I have a passion for making songs and making good work. What do I want to say and how do I want to say it? And it's then that I started to really like feed myself instead of waiting for other people to feed me.
That's great. Yes. Denisha for president.
I can't help myself wanting you now. I just play myself thinking I could go without every night, every day. I try to turn it off, but I cannot erase in my heart, in my soul, you're my weakness. Do you try hard to unnerve me, girl? You're my weakness. Oh, you're my weakness.
You're not in Brooklyn anymore, right? You're living you moved. Where are you living now?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
So back to the South.
Back to the South.
Yes.
Life
Okay.
life is a winding road, you know?
Yeah. I do have questions about the South and
Let's go.
um yeah,
Mhm.
I mean a black queer music making a queer
Mm.
woman making country music in the South even in 2025. I don't know. I've had a couple experiences in the South that have been amazing. And I've had some experiences in the South where I've been like, wow, like there's real segregation here still
Mm.
in some areas. Although Nashville always feels like this bubble of like, is it the South? Because it's just feels like so I don't know, like Austin is one of those cities as well where you're just like, oh, everybody is like very much welcome here.
Yeah.
But outside of that bubble, it can sometimes still be discriminatory. And I guess I'm just wondering, like, do you worry about that? Have you felt any of that? Or are you just hitting these streets like, I don't care. I'm from Texas. I know how to play this game. And I don't know. How's it feeling?
Oh man. Yes, I moved from New York back here to Nashville because I've lived here before. I moved
Oh.
here about 3 years ago, and I really felt the pull to the artist community here. And that's in large part due to the Black Opry, which is a
Mm.
collective of Black artists in country, Americana, bluegrass, blues. I toured with the Black Opry when I still lived in upstate New York, and I was like, wow, this is an unbelievable community. And I knew that
Mm.
there was some presence here in Nashville with Black Opry artists. Now that I'm shifting back into the country music that I grew up on, it makes some sense to move to Nashville and see what we can come up with.
Country music
So
capital of the world,
I
songwriter
know.
capital of the world. Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So I had prepared myself a little bit for like, okay, I've been in New York at that time for 12 years. So
Mm,
it's like, as a Black person from Texas, New York can feel a little relieving to live in New York City and to be sort of out of the, because I'm not going to say New York's not segregated because that's a whole other issue, but to kind of
mm,
like be out of the immediate face of a specific type of discrimination. I moved to New York and I felt really free in a lot of ways. And so, in this conversation with myself, okay, I'm going to move back down south, like it's going to be a little different. And I
mm,
think the thing that has really saved me and my most important balm is just holding on to my community, holding on to my friendships and my relationships that are here, that feel safe and communal and like real deep connection. Nashville has come a really long way since the first time I lived here over a decade ago.
mm,
But when you look around, it does kind of seem like there's a little bit of a segregation issue lingering in the
mm.
city.
What do you mean? What are you seeing when you say that?
I think, there are historically Black neighborhoods in the
Mm,
city and Black areas of the city. And sometimes it feels a little siloed from the rest of Nashville itself.
right.
Like sometimes when I'm touring around in the South and I have to drive somewhere by myself,
Yeah.
like I've played in North Carolina a lot, and I've driven in North Carolina by myself, and I've gotten out at the gas station that is like, it's just full of Confederate flags in there. And I
Mm,
feel a little on edge, and I feel like I got to get in and get out of here. And I know exactly where that place is, and I know not to stop there. And so
yeah.
there's like an extra bit
Yeah.
of cautiousness anywhere I travel, honestly, in America, especially in small rural areas. I have an extra bit of vigilance just for my own safety and for my own body. But
Good.
I think like being back in the southern region of the States has been cool for the music part. There's a lot about Black music here, a lot about songwriting here, and that I really resonate with and really vibe with at this point in my life.
I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I'm gonna love the one I want. I'm gonna love her so hard. I'm gonna watch my babies grow and play in the yard.
When you talk about that gas station with all those Confederate flags and having to drive through the South, that's part of the gig, right? When you're an independent musician, you got to get in your car and you are your own marketing department, you are your own tour bus, you are your
Yep.
own, absolutely everything, your gear set up, everything. And so you do have to do a lot of alone time driving. And I think what's wild is that you can have that experience at the gas station where you're like, "Oh my gosh, all these Confederate flags, I gotta get the heck out of here." But then the
Mm,
second you get to where you need to be, you pull out your guitar, you start singing, and you can disarm an entire room full of racist people. Like music just makes everybody melt into, I think, sometimes the very best versions of themselves. And I guess I don't know the question, but does music save us all somehow? Like, how does this give you hope for America?
yeah, I think that's a great angle on very important topic because first of all, I'm like standing on the shoulders of generations of musicians who have driven through worse conditions to get to the gig than I
Mm,
have. I go through the front door because they went through the back door for so many years. There are Black people in my audiences. It's not an all white audience that I'm allowed to play for. So I'm grateful for, just to be a little woo woo, I'm grateful for our ancestors for just chipping away at those walls and the doors so that I can like roll up to a place in North Carolina, which is distinctly a Southern place, and to
Hmm.
like really succeed and to do well here as an artist who's based in Nashville. The one thing that is keeping me sort of buoyed amongst everything that's going on in our current events and the proliferation of divisive politics, especially as perceived online, is that I am literally going on tour to small towns, rural communities, mid sized cities, all kinds of places. I'm rolling up by myself. I'm rolling up with my band. I always have Black folks in my band. And the hospitality and the kindness that I'm shown by white folks, Black folks, Latino, Asian American folks, like all kinds of people, it
Mm.
is like a distinctly different picture than what you might get on your algorithm on Instagram or TikTok, just reading comment sections. If I only had the opportunity to perceive humanity from what's going on online, I would lose all of my faith. But because I have the great fortune of being able to travel and to pop into people's communities, and I see that people they crave connection, community, and safety. And they seek music out for those things. And I get to bring songs to people that make them feel connected and safe and make them feel like they're a part of something. And you're right, it disarms people. And I get to see that their humanity is actually doing really well. It's the internet that's making us really feel like we're doomed. There's a lot that needs to happen and a lot that needs to change in our society. But I see that people have goodness in them still.
Speaking of music, I see a guitar behind you.
Oh yeah, that whole
Would you
thing.
be willing to play? Would you be willing to play us something? That whole thing? You're like, yeah, that lives here. Would you be willing to play us a song?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I'm gonna play "All the Sweet Tea," which is a song that I wrote about being faced with wanting to be in the moment and also having this hunger to see the world and to be in a bunch of places at once. And I don't really have the answer for how to reckon with those two, but
Yeah.
this song is kind of a celebration of of life and all that it has to offer.
Time is ticking like it always does. It flies right by, right over us. There is nothing you can do to quell, to stop that girl from running like hell. All the sweet tea in Carolina, all the sun that comes to dry up all the rain, all the mountain peaks in Colorado, they're waiting there, they're calling out our name. What I've been missing is your tender touch, 'cause if I've got you, then I have enough. I don't wanna waste it, all these precious nights. We never know the day when we're gonna fly. All the sweet tea in Carolina, all the sun that comes to dry up all the rain, all the mountain peaks in Colorado, they're waiting there,
Thanks so much for joining us. If you want to continue to be a part of the Homegoings family, stay in touch at homegoings.co and subscribe to the Homegoings podcast wherever you listen. Take good care.
All the sweet tea in Carolina, all the sun that comes to dry up all the rain.